Hello, and thank you for joining us tonight on another episode of Breaking Reality. I'm your host, Joshua McGuire, and with us tonight we have Nellie Smith, and we are going to be discussing following your intuition. Nellie, can you go ahead and just tell us a little bit about yourself, and then we'll get started with the conversation?
Good to see you again, Josh.
Good to see you too.
I'm Nellie Smith. I am with Sensitive Sage. I am a master energy healing practitioner and instructor through the process of integrated energy therapy. Um, and I'll explain what that is in a second. And I'm also a spiritual coach, intuitive tarot reader, and just anything spiritual to help others.
Excellent. So we can go ahead and get started with this conversation if you wanted to, and you can go further into discussing what you just mentioned if you want, or if that's just going to be part of this conversation as we go through.
Well, I'll go ahead and get that done. Most people are familiar with Reiki. This is a little bit different, and yet it's similar. I am lined up with the 9 healing angels. They, of course, are doing all of the work. I'm just a conduit, and they are getting the issues out of the tissues. Anyone who is familiar with Reiki, you have to be aware of your energy and taking on anything from the client. I do not have to be concerned about that with integrated energy therapy. It's a wonderful experience.
Excellent. So we can go ahead and just get started into this conversation, however you'd like to. I know we talked a little bit about doing this quite a while ago. We actually had this scheduled, and then we had to
Mhm.
reschedule, and now we finally got to get the show together, and I'm looking forward to tonight.
Well, for technical purposes, I'm going to give you the definition of intuition.
Okay.
Thought that would be kind of interesting. The dictionary says it's an insight, direct or immediate cognition, spiritual perception. Another dictionary says the ability to understand something without immediately without the need for conscious reasoning. The ability to know something without analytic reasoning, bridging the gap between conscious and non-conscious parts of our minds, a natural ability or power that makes it possible to know something without any proof or evidence.
Excellent.
I think we've all experienced the scenario of you get a phone call and go, "Ah, I was just thinking about you."
Right.
So you were putting that energy out there and it got transmitted telepathy and they received it and they gave you a call. And you've probably had it done to you to where you go, somebody says, I was just thinking about you. I almost just called you.
Oh,
I've had
many.
it happen so much.
Oh, many a times. Many a times.
Mhm.
You
Uh,
know.
and the and the thing of uh, I refer to it as reading energy. It is your intuition. That's a part of it, is sensing someone else's energy. If you've ever met a new person, they're well dressed, they're well mannered, you can't find anything physically wrong with them, but there's just something about them you don't trust.
Oh yeah. Been there,
And,
done that many a times.
and and the other thing is they may not be as well presented like you would typically expect if somebody's judging from an outward appearance, but you felt like you have known them for years and there's an immediate trust in knowing about them. You're using your intuition.
Absolutely. But yeah, in those instances where you just have that gut feeling about something like this isn't a good place to be, or there's something wrong, or that's that intuition kicking in, those
And the
gut
common
feelings.
phrase is something doesn't feel right.
Right.
The word feeling comes into play.
Oh,
Uh,
absolutely.
so I think we all use it. We're all born with this ability. It is a psychic ability. I think when you use the word intuition, it's a little bit softer. At the end of the day, it's psychic abilities. We come in this world with it. And through well-meaning humans, we get domesticated and told that our imaginary friends aren't real when they're probably crossed over loved ones or angels. Um, and we shut it down eventually because we get domesticated and stop listening to it because people might think we're weird.
Right.
Somebody calls me weird, I go, thank you.
I take weird as a compliment.
I do. So
Yeah. I take weird as a compliment.
If you want to, there's layers of intuition or psychic abilities, and I call them meeting the clairs. So clair, and it's interesting to me in kind of doing this and lining it up, it made me do further research. Those physical senses that we have, which is sight, sound, taste, touch, smell. And then the sixth sense, we're going to throw it over here on this side. So if you go to sight, that's clairvoyance. I do clairvoyance. I see it in an image in my mind's eye. Sound, clairaudience. I don't get that one as often. Every now and again, I'll hear music or think I'm hearing voices, but it's not as often for me. Taste is clairgustance. Somebody who possibly does a paranormal investigator and they are tapping into someone who has passed years ago and they had a tragic passing, they may taste blood in their mouth. Thank goodness I don't have that one. Touch would be clairsentience, when you feel what I look at as angel wings, or if I'm looking through a house and testing the energy, I may feel like I walk through a spider web. You have just walked through a spirit, and it feels much like a spider web. Smell would be clairalience. It's only happened a handful of times for me. Usually it's my mom. It's honeysuckle in the house. I may smell a cigar smoke for somebody else's crossed over loved one. That'll come through for me. A big one for me, my strongest one, is what would be referred to as ESP knowledge. It's just, and that's claircognizance, and it's just knowing. And these messages just get downloaded instantaneously, and you know something. And it's that whole thing of following your gut you mentioned earlier. Scientists have now done a lot of research, especially at the Heart Math Institute, to where there's actually referred to as the brain in the heart. It doesn't look like our brain in our head, but there is a heart brain, and it receives the signal and knowledge much quicker and then translates it and brings it into the mind for the knowledge. But there's been a lot of research on that, which is fascinating. And the term we have always heard is, what's your heart telling you to do? Follow your heart.
Right.
And I find that interesting that we have kind of intuitively already done that through the years. We just didn't know how to explain it.
Right. Yeah. And you know, as far as, you know, those different, the clairs, as you called them, that you went through, it's interesting because a couple of those, I honestly, even in all my work, I've never heard of the term for taste or smell. But I've heard of people having those happen, especially smell. A lot of times with smells coming back and smelling something when you're working with just different things, where a smell will come and there's no reason for that smell. It's there, but it triggers such strong memories and triggers responses to different things as well.
My mom used to wash her face with Pond's cold cream. Every now and again, I'll smell that, and it just makes me smile and just warms my heart because I know she's nearby.
Absolutely.
So, it's comforting when they come and say hello.
Oh yeah. Oh, most definitely. I've had experiences of different spirits and stuff being around throughout the years myself, and not necessarily even just loved ones of past, but others that I don't even know. And you get to know them through time if they come back over and over and over again.
And they're usually there for a reason. Your intuition is there, I believe, to support you or protect you.
Right.
And when you learn to trust it, there's been many times in the past where, being more human, I didn't want to appear silly, or I was overreacting or being paranoid, and I wouldn't listen to it. And I've always come back and go, should have listened to it. Should have listened to my gut.
Oh, yeah.
That's what we all said. I should have followed my own intuition, and I did not. And those times that I have not, I have pretty much regretted it. Because it was there to help me.
Oh, yeah. I mean, we always hear that story from someone. It's like, yeah, you know, I dated this person, and I knew that maybe I shouldn't have. or there was just something off about them, but I gave them a chance anyway, and it ends up just being a disaster.
Mhm. Yeah. And then you end up having to call someone like me to remove the program. So,
So,
so always best to follow your gut. And if you're trying to increase your intuition and you're wanting to hone this, I would recommend, it's a fun little game. I did it. It's fun. Regular deck of playing cards. The easiest thing to do is divide them red and blue. And just use one half of the deck and just turn the cards over. Now you can do it this way, and you can pick out the suits only. Hearts, cups, diamonds, spades. You can put the whole deck together if you really want to get brave, and just go for red or blue. Turn them all upside down, and just wave your hand over it. Your hand is a sensor, by the way, and it's going to be opposite of the screen. My left hand, all of our left hands, is our receiving side. So we receive information from this side, and energy comes in, goes throughout the body, and releases on the right-hand side. Most people, if they're pulling tarot cards for me, I have them guide with their left hand. Do both. Most people are more sensitive with their left hand because that's how you receive a signal. And you will feel a tingling, a warmth, an intuition to pull this particular card. I would recommend taking your hand over the cards and just trying blue and red and play that game. And if you really want to see how good you are, keep a checklist of how often you got it right, and just keep practicing.
it sounds like an interesting one. I've seen similar things done with people where they were testing for ESP, different abilities along those lines, where they'll do different cards. Some they'll do with shapes or colors or designs and stuff along those lines, where they're working in more of a scientific kind of way of trying to figure out if these abilities are there or not.
But it's a great way to start something simple. Probably already have a deck of cards at home if you really just want to, hone it and just keep working with it and practicing it, and then you can go into the suits when you feel like you've accomplished that. If you really want to test it some more, then go and guessing the suits. So, fun game.
It sounds like it. I might have to mess around with it some myself. I've never actually messed with doing anything along those lines. I've just what comes so I've never really done anything specifically honing like that.
Mm-hmm. I would also recommend, if you're really wanting to increase your intuition, if you don't already, to meditate. And if you don't know how to meditate, there's a lot of free YouTube videos out there. I would do beginner meditation. A lot of folks, it's interesting to me that the average person has about 80,000 thoughts a day, most of which are not there to support us, but actually hinder us. So doing that meditation to help quiet your mind, different people need different triggers. For me, in the beginning, it was just lighting a candle and watching the flame.
Right.
And then sometimes a ticking of an old clock that has a second hand, that'll help you focus on that. If you can just focus on your breathing in for a number of counts, out for a number of counts, and try to focus on that to learn to first quiet your mind. And then when you get that, then when you start listening, you will have answers to life's problems. And in fact, you can put the question out into the universe, meditate, and see if you get the answer. It may not come immediately. It may hit you in a day or two, almost like a light bulb went off, and it's an aha moment. So you finally received your answer.
Right. And it's funny that you talked about mentioning the flame, because doing candles, staring at the flame of a candle, that is believed to increase psychic ability as you do that. So that's one of those things. You brought that up, and I'm like, yeah, I remember reading that and huh?
You read that somewhere?
I've read it, and I've actually done it myself. I actually enjoy.
It's calming to me. It's very calming. It's very zen. to watch that flame. You just kind of dance it. So it's very hypnotic,
Yeah.
if you will, for me.
Yeah. And it is a good meditation practice too. If you're really, really struggling with meditating, and I'll tell some people if they have problems with meditation, sit in a dark room with just a single candle going, like what you was talking about, focus in on the flame. And if the silence is too much, play some really, really soft instrumental music in the background. Something that's not going to be distracting to you, not something that's not going to be pulling your thoughts away, but something that will just kind of be there to drown out. Sometimes silence is loud.
Yes, it can be.
Yeah.
And you can almost hear your thoughts when it's too silent. For me, I go to Native American flute music.
Yeah.
AC/DC would not be a good one to listen to while meditating. So, but you
Oh,
definitely want something that's calm. And again, almost that lulled where it's almost consistent, but a little bit varying. So that again, it's almost part of that hypnotic, like a lullaby,
right.
if you will, as an infant.
Yeah.
So it'll make you. I mean, if you meditate for 20 minutes a day, the research has shown it's equivalent to getting 4 hours of sleep.
Oh yeah, meditation is an amazing process, and the thing is, meditation doesn't have to be the typical sitting in the lotus position, your fingers in the this position, chanting Om, and sitting there doing that. That meditation could be driving in your car and just allowing your thoughts to flow. Obviously stay aware of what you're doing while you're driving. but allowing your thoughts to flow and stuff. And I know people who will meditate that way. They'll put on some soft music while they're driving, and they'll just kind of allow their thoughts to go through their head, not really focusing in on anything. But sometimes meditation is where you got to latch onto a thought and focus in on it too. Meditation has a lot of different aspects to it, and there's a lot with it.
I will tell you this. I get most of my messages driving the car.
Oh yeah.
Because when we are driving, we know how to do it, and especially if we're driving the same route, it's repetitive, and we literally go on autopilot. You already kind of are into the subconscious anyway.
Right.
Call it mindfulness. It is kind of an awakened meditation. So I agree with you on that. It's interesting. I was talking to my daughter a few weeks ago, and I said, the funniest thing I've realized that I get important messages about other people when I'm upstairs in the hallway doing laundry, going to the laundry room, coming to the bathroom to fold the laundry. And she goes, Mom, that's where we have always seen your mom and then grandma that passed. And I said, oh my gosh, I forgot about that. So that energy is there to kind of help support. So when you're doing, and I paint a lot and do a lot of arts and creativity. And when I'm that's almost a meditative state for me. I will get messages doing that as well. So find what you love and roll with it, because it's interesting when things come to you.
Anything that gets you into what they would refer to as a flow state.
Yes.
Where your energies are flowing, your thoughts are flowing, you're not really rigid or focused on anything, you're more relaxed. You see martial artists when they're doing different forms and stuff, and they're working, and they're or even when they are sparring together, they're into a flow state, they're into a meditative state, they're working from and I should go back. It's the really highly trained martial artists that get into that flow state. You'll see different athletes that will get into that flow state where they are just in the zone. And that's a meditative state that they are in when they're doing that.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. I have a large deck, and I love being outdoors. And I get up early. I mean, I have no choice but to. Source wakes me up. So I've learned to work with it. So if I'm up at 3:30, 4:30, and it's warm enough outside, I'm going to light the fire pit, and I'm just going to sit there and listen, because it's one of the most relaxing, one of the greatest moments and I enjoy that warmer weather when that does come. But it's that moment of really just kind of connecting, because it's always there to support us.
Mm-hmm.
I would encourage anyone who wants this to at least at least say, I am open to this energy coming in, because it is there to support you, your guides, angels, whatever you want to call it, ETs. It's whatever the source is. I don't care. I know it's there to support me and protect me. But you do have to say, I'm open to it, and invite that. They can't interfere without your permission. But your abilities will increase if you have them there to kind of help guide you and support you.
Right.
So we'll send out the invitation.
And I find it funny that you mentioned around like the 3:30 hour in the morning, because the hour between 3 to 4 a.m. is what is known as the true witching hour. And it's when those abilities and stuff are most active. It's also known as the hour of writers, poets, artists, musicians, because that's when a lot of inspiration comes through to them, is during that hour. And it's also where, in a lot of spiritual beliefs, it's believed that the veil between the realms is the thinnest during that hour.
Yeah. I've tried staying up till midnight just so I could sleep a little later, because I do have a 9 to 5 job, and doesn't matter. They're awake in me. And I'm like, well, I'm appreciative of it. I might as well learn to work with it instead of against it. So I go to bed. I jokingly say not at the crack of dawn. Sometimes I go to bed at the butt crack of dawn. So it's early for most people. So
yeah.
But I'm grateful for it. It's time I get to spend with them, and it's always beneficial. So
absolutely. So as far as people who are really struggling with knowing their intuition and being able to follow their intuition, or I guess a better way to put it is they second guess themselves on things. You'll be, oh no, that's just my mind being silly, or that's, that's not really intuition. That's my own, judgments or stuff coming through. What is something that those people can do to try to discern what is truly intuition coming through versus kind of that just kind of brain noise that we get?
First, ask for clarification. Send that energy out there that you're wanting to increase this, and to help you discern what is their thought versus your thought. I can tell you this, their thought is instant. Our thought lingers. We go through a series of, I'm hungry. Okay, I probably need something to eat. I think I'm looking for eggs. And so you go through a series of thoughts. It's all of a sudden, bam, this is what you want. This is how I'm going to do it. It's that instant. That's not you. That's them supporting you. If you've ever driven and you're on, and I've had this happen, the same route, again, that routine, and all of a sudden you decide one day, suddenly, I'm going to go down this road. Might have prevented you from getting into an accident up ahead. You didn't know why you went. You've always been curious about this side road. Just this one day, you decide to whoop, all of a sudden go. That's them. Their information is instantaneously. We linger. We go through a series of steps to get to the final thought. It's a knowing. It's a clear knowing.
Right.
And just ask them to help you to clarify the difference. Another way, your body is a pendulum. If anybody, I'm assuming everyone knows what a pendulum is. Do you want me to explain that?
You might need to, because I with the show, I always try to go from the standpoint not everyone watching the show may know the concepts or the techniques and things that we discuss, because most of us here, myself and the guests on the show, we've dived deep into the areas that we're in, so we have kind of a different understanding of things. So some of the terminology and stuff is very common for us.
That's why I'm asking the question. Yeah. So I'm going to use a bracelet, because this is what I have right now. It can be something as simple as a heavy washer on a string.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't, dental floss. It doesn't, a string type. It doesn't matter what it is. Nail clippers are a great one to start with because they're weighty, they're heavy, they've got that little ring already in them. But
Right.
you want to get something on a string that has something on the bottom. Now, this is not going to work as a pendulum because it's too thick. I'm just showing you the style. Some people believe your pendulum, when you get it, you need to ask it what is yes and no. I'm a firm believer of calibrating because I use several forms of pendulums. I need them all to give me the same message the same way. So for me, simple is best. Left to right for me is no. So side to side with the pendulum is a no. My head nodding up and down is a yes. So away from me and to me is my yes. Simple enough just to go yes and no. I do others, but we're going to leave it simple at that. So that being said, you can work with a pendulum for one to work with that. Your body is already a pendulum. If years ago I found out I was gluten intolerant by testing my body, kinesiology, the sway test is what I use for the most part. The simplest for beginners. I take my non-dominant hand and do the OK symbol. Take the other finger, it says real high tech, the pointy finger, and you just put it through the ring. And the concept is you ask a question you know the answer to. I'm a woman. I'm going to pull as hard as I can. I can't break that ring. That's a yes. I'm a man. That's a no. You can use this. Is my intuition on this correct? Is my gut feeling on this person correct? Is this person beneficial? Yes, no. Use the OK, the ring, to test it until you get confident enough with your own intuition. Your body's going to always tell you the truth. If you are in anxiety mode over something or stress, you sometimes will not get the right answer because you're too close to it.
Right.
That's when I recommend you have a friend, almost surrogate for you, and let them ask the questions on your behalf and let them do it for you. You just need to touch your friends so they have your energy and let them pull for you. That's another way. But getting used to this, something simple, test it. If you're running late for work normally and you go, will I be on time for work today? Yes, no. It can answer your future things. Work with that and your body to help guide you along the way. Once you build that confidence that you know what your intuition sounds like and reacts like, the more you'll trust it, the more it will increase.
One of the viewers asked, "Is the knowing intuitive or is it instinctive?"
Yes and yes.
You want to go into that?
I can give you an example. Years ago, I was driving home from work, and I'm a big fan of Greg Brayton. I'll listen to him on YouTube, and he's a biologist, spiritualist, and he brings science and spirituality together. I do enjoy listening to him. And he was talking that morning, driving to work, about atoms, the first atom, and the splitting of the atom. And I'm driving home from work, and out of nowhere, it was instantaneously Adam and Eve. Adam was the first atom to split. Spelled differently, sounds the same. And that information came within a second. Intuitively, instantaneously, it was there, and I knew it. So it's almost as if you've always known it, you just remembered it, if you will. But for me, instinctively, and that was the question, instinctive versus intuitive.
Right.
Okay.
And
In,
and
go ahead.
they even asked, or guided by spirit. There's a difference.
I think all of it, not 100% sure where everything comes from for me. We are born with a spirit guide that stays with us throughout our life. We have other guides, could be crossed over loved ones, some that have never been in human form, that will be with us throughout our lives during a series. We may need one till we're a teenager. We cross that point, and then we're in our 20s, and then another guide steps in to help us through that. So I have people coming in and out throughout my life. I call on my guides source. because I do think some are angelic. I do think some are extraterrestrial. I do think some are crossed over loved ones. The information is there to support me and protect me and encourage me. It's positive. I don't care where it comes from. I'm appreciative of it and very open to it. Um, and again, it's just sometimes the one spirit guide will stay with you throughout your life. And then you have other guides coming in and out as you're needed, as
Right.
you need them.
Right.
So,
And the guest, it's actually Darren McGavin's in chat. I'm outing you a little bit, Darren. I know you don't mind, brother. And he's the gentleman I was talking to you about earlier. But Darren made the comment that we are spiritual having a human experience, which
we're
which
absolutely spiritual beings having a
right,
human experience. Absolutely, we are. A lot of the information, too, is coming from my subconscious because when we came in, we knew everything because of that spirit. And we just, what I refer to as we get domesticated, we sleep. We're awake, we're walking, but we're asleep. So that term awakening that a lot of people are using, it's getting back to who you were, what you were born with, those abilities and things that you probably knew already. That I'm saying that atom split. I knew that years ago, probably. It just all of a sudden, like, oh, that's where I put that information, and it just got downloaded again. Or
right,
I found it. Oh, there's
right.
my bookmark. There it is. It's information I believe we really already know, and it is our subconscious. And when you go into your subconscious mind more and you're open to that and others are open to that, that's where that oneness comes in and that we're all really connected anyway and we're just one.
Okay, I've got several questions coming in right
Sure.
now. One of them is there a way guides or intuition can affect sudden perception of familiar areas?
Yes. I'd need more information if there's a scenario they're speaking of.
Yeah, if there is a scenario that you want to ask with that, please go ahead and ask in chat. Now, um,
It's a
Darren's
little bit.
at Darren's asked, can you elaborate on divine intervention or hardwire intuitiveness?
To me, it's all the same. To me, it's all one and the same for me because I do believe it's information I have always known. As I become more open to it and the meditation to help going back into my subconscious and to open up to divine guidance, if you will, and clarity, they're helping me to remember who I am and the information that I know. So to me, it's we've always had it. We've always had the knowledge. It's just we're slowly awakening, raising our vibration, going into fourth dimension, hopefully fifth dimension, as this energy is changing and knowing more and really trusting that information as it comes to you. It comes to you, I believe, when you're in a situation and you need it the most. If I'm having dinner with some friends, I may not need any of it. I'm just enjoying being a human. But if
Right.
one of my friends is having a problem and he or she is in trouble, then it's going to step in to help me to better guide them.
Okay. They said, as far as the perception of familiar areas
Mhm.
question, they said they was cleaning the litter box in their basement and suddenly felt like they was being watched from the corner behind them.
It's possible it could be a crossover loved one. It depends on the home, the energy of the home. Did it feel safe? Did it feel loving? Did it feel unsafe? Two emotions in the world, really. You can give them all kinds of names. It's love and fear. So I would ask you, was it fearful or was it loving?
Right. And then there was also the question: does spirit speak directly or subconsciously?
For me, it's subconscious. Again, it's just information downloaded all of a sudden. If there's a message from someone I'm doing a reading for or someone near me and I'm getting a message from a loved one, um, for a medium, a true down on medium, I don't classify myself as a medium. I do have moments of medium abilities when it's necessary for a loved one to step in. I think they look at it, well, she's all I got, I'll try her out. But a true medium will sometimes hear it audibly in their ear, and I hear messages sometimes audibly, but for the most part for me, it's like an instant knowing of information, like it was just downloaded all of a sudden.
Right. And as far as the ordeal with feeling like they was watched, they said it was more uncomfortable, maybe a bit of fear.
Okay, might have something in your home that shouldn't be in your home. I would recommend this person to smudge to clear the home, open all the windows, smudge the area. When I'm doing a house clearing, I open the closets, drawers, cabinets, everything, open the windows, smudge. I'll wait about 15, 20 minutes, close the windows and doors, leave all else open, and then I come back through with sweetgrass. And you want to say a prayer too that, nothing that means harm to me. Only love and light can stay in my home. Only love and light is allowed here in my home as you're smudging. So I would recommend that. And once you do the sweetgrass, you're welcome to close the cabinets, the closets, the drawers. And it's just a positive energy. Sweetgrass is a positive. The sage will remove any negative energy. If that doesn't work and it comes back, I would recommend she reaches out to a professional.
Okay. And another question coming through, it says, as far as, I believe this is going back to where you was talking about the messages coming through subconsciously.
Mm-hmm.
It says auditory or visual, and can she elaborate? Are they different or collective?
Collective.
Okay.
I've had audible messages. I've had visual messages, and again, also have that sudden download of information. It's a sudden knowing. When I do hear messages, I really can't distinguish if it's male or female. It's really more androgynous. It's not really male or female. It's soft but firm sometimes, but don't have those. I mostly have just the instant knowing.
Okay. The person with the that was dealing with the uncomfortable feeling of something
Mm-hmm.
behind them from the corner asked, is there a way to do it discreetly, as my family doesn't tend to agree with this kind of thing?
I'd buy them movie tickets and tell them you're going to stay home and do laundry.
I don't know that necessarily might.
Get them out of the house.
I don't know with this person if that's necessarily an option. So they would need something a lot more discreet. And um,
Here's what you can do. I've never done it to do a house clearing. I am a firm believer. Energy follows intention. I have crystals on me, around me. I love them. I know I don't necessarily have to have them. My energy follows my intention. If you go through the house with the intent that you are smudging, and I would just say wave your hand as if you have a smudge stick, open up, do one room at a time, and just go through and silently in your mind, just tell, only love and light can stay here. Only love and light can stay here. Try that and see if that works.
all right.
I'm very ritualistic. I like the stick and the smell and the smoke. But if that's something she can't do, I know energy follows her intention. Then that
Right.
should suffice for her.
Right. Right. And a lot of us will work, like I said, work with smudge sticks and stuff, because there is significant strength and power behind working with a smudge. Whether you use, white sage, sweetgrass,
Mm-hmm.
palo santo, or whatever it
Mm-hmm.
is that you're working with, um, the what you're working with, it does have some significant strength behind it, but what puts even more power to it is the intuition, the intention that you're putting into it when you're working with it as well.
Correct. Correct.
Okay. I was just reading a message there from chat. That's more a personal one for me on some stuff, so I will contact them. But yeah, we can continue on with the discussion. But yeah, Darren even acknowledged that person and said, acknowledge the soul and energy or vibration. He says, as I smudge, I try to cleanse, not to push away, because you can push good energy away, which is very true.
Very, very true. Very, very true. If I'm doing a house clearing and I'm sealing a house, I would never advise someone to try to seal a house if they're not 100% sure they got everything unwanted out. Those that you want to come in if they're crossover loved ones, and you still want them to come back if they want to come and visit. You don't want it to get it to the point to where they can't come back in. So you have to be very, very careful when you're sealing a home, when the energy and stuff. You have to be very, very careful with it and know what you're doing.
Right.
A lot of people have made mistakes by doing certain things, accidentally opening up portals and bringing negative energy in because they don't really know what they're doing. So you got to be very careful with that.
Right. And the fact that what Darren said there is very profound. You can clear that, like if you're trying to push that energy out, if you're trying to push energies away, you can get that good energy, that positive energy, and you can push that out right along with it. If you're trying to just wipe that slate clean, more or less, and you don't want to do that. You want to keep those. You want to keep that energy in the house, in the locations, in and around you. You know, wherever you're at.
That's why I always say love and light is only welcome in my home. Love and light. So those positive energies will stay there.
Okay. And now this is a really important question along those lines. How can she tell the difference between good or bad or less good or bad or lost souls and or energy, please? And how does that manifest?
She would need to know, one, how she feels. If I'm trying to help someone interpret their dreams, my first question is, how did you feel? That is your barometer. What is the emotion? That's why I'm asking, what did she feel? Did she feel frightened? Did she feel love? If there's fear, it may not be there for her better good.
But if some people aren't used to sensing a presence or a spirit around them, it can be a startling and slightly fearful experience, even if it's a positive one. So there really is a little bit of taking a moment to really feel and sense what's there. Because I've been around people who the first time that they've really felt a presence, it's been really startling to them, and even kind of shakes and rattles them for a little bit, because they're not used to feeling that energy. When they finally open themselves up to being able to feel that.
A thought. You said basement, right?
Yep, they said it was in the basement.
If she can, because she clearly lives, I keep saying she, I don't know why. This person lives in a home with family, friends that she's trying to keep this from. If she can get away with, I like baby powder.
It is a she.
Okay. See that intuition kicking in. Baby powder and sprinkling on a baking pan of some sort and putting it in the basement, where, if possible, the cat can't get in there, because if she's changing a litter box, she's got a kitty cat. So try to put it to where the cat can't get there, and say, can you give me the first initial of your name in this print? So leave the powder, the baby powder, untouched, go to bed. Come down the next morning and see if you have an initial in there. They have been known to communicate that way. And if it's someone you know, and it might be a first initial, it may be someone you've lost that you know. It may be a crossover loved one. Without being in the home and sensing that energy, this would be difficult for me. I would almost encourage her to bring somebody else in to maybe help guide her, if that's a possibility for her.
Okay.
Otherwise, let's go back to this. Are you a crossover relative? Yes, no.
All right. There's a question.
Have you been in this home longer than I have? Yes, no.
Okay.
Did you once live in this home? Yes, no.
There's the question of, can you elaborate on the difference between energy, vibration, or a message?
A message, obviously, you're going to either see it in a third eye, you're going to know it. You're going to literally almost audibly, no one else can hear it, but it almost feels like it's audible in one of your ears. Vibration, as an energy healer, I would say probably in the last month, because with the 5D energy coming in, now that we're in the age of Aquarius, I've been dealing with a lot of ascension symptoms. And one of those is literally my hands every now and again will vibrate. I mean, it's moving. It's not shaking, but it's vibrating. That intense energy. So that would be kind of a, if you have ringing in your ears is another symptom of that as well. Almost heart palpitations. The energy itself is, for me, energy in my hands, it's tingly. It's almost as if I just sat on my hand for 10 minutes and it's kind of tingly. That's what I feel periodically throughout the day, depending, and especially during a healing session, I'll have that sensation of that. Keeping the energy moving, and you can simply say something as simple as when you get up in the morning, it is my intent to keep my energy moving to support and balance me throughout the day. We have more power than we realize we do because we're so supported, but just putting that intention out, and I can't express enough, intention follows energy. So.
All right.
Or energy follows intention, excuse me.
Let's see.
I want to make sure I'm understanding the questions to answer them properly.
Right, and let's see. Affirmations and intentions are not instant energy, is what was just said in chat. Which affirmations and intentions are a little different than.
Yeah, those are two different things. An affirmation is I am kind of a thing. Intention would be more, it is my intention.
Right, but those are things that you, I think what they're trying to say, and correct me if I'm wrong on this, with intentions and affirmations, it is something that you have to put your energy into. It's not something that is instantly being downloaded to you. It's not an energy that is instantly flowing in through you. That is something with affirmations, like you said, and I am. You have to put your focus into that. Like, I am loved. I am worthy. I am, and you have to put your emotions and your feelings and your energy and intention into that.
Yeah, those are completely separate things. If your intention is, because you have so much support from outside of you, it is my intention today to be loving. It is my intention today to receive from other people. You know, if they're wanting to bring you love, you're open to receive that. If you've been wounded in the heart area and you feel like you're shutting people out, it's an intention, meaning it's an internal thing. When you say I am, that to me is more of the outside physical world. And for me, affirmations are better served in 3 layers. Instead of saying I am, you kind of jump into it. Carol K. Truman is a great energy healer as well, and I learned this from her. For example, you want to be happy. I choose to be happy. I feel happy. I am happy. And when you say those in sequences for each affirmation, it does become internal for you. Well, when you say I am, it's almost, for me anyway, in the past, it's been more external, as if I'm telling myself a lot. And it's hard for me to work with affirmations without going through the layers of the affirmations. Well, that's why I now just work with intention.
To me, and this is the way I see it, is when you're working with affirmations, an affirmation starts with an intention. So the intention is the start of it, and that is a conscious thing that you make within yourself. It's not necessarily something that is downloaded from the divine or from source, or or from spirit guide. That an intention is a conscious thought that says, all right, today I'm going to open myself to being loving and to receiving love from others. That I'm not going to block myself off from that. Then an affirmation is something that you say to yourself to help empower that intention. So
Hmm.
I am loved. I can receive love. I am worthy of being loved.
Hmm.
I am loving.
Hmm.
And those are the affirmations. And I just want to clarify this for the listeners out there, so that when they hear these things, they know the different levels that they work on.
When you go through the intention and you're wanting to have those things, and again, almost sometimes, again, in the past, I felt like I was telling myself a lie. Let's take weight as an example. If I want to drop, let's say 25 pounds, and my goal weight, say, is 125, and I don't weigh that, and I want to say, I choose weighing. It's my intention to weigh 125 pounds. It is my intention. Not going to happen like that.
Right.
But you have to put the intention there. And then if you go through the phases of that and go, I choose to feel healthy weighing 125 pounds. I feel great at 125 pounds. I weigh 125 pounds. There is a sequence and a series. It is not one and done. It is something you actually want to repeat, if you can, throughout the day a little bit, even in your mind, and continue that process. And over time, because that does put energy in you, and things start to shift and change, and then you start to choose different foods or start to choose different activities, you start to drink more water, and you realize you're actually making healthier choices, little baby steps at a time. It's not one and done. It is something you have to intend and continue to work with on a regular basis.
Right. And that's intentional. That's where we're making a conscious decision to change our attitude and our perspective, and that's not necessarily where we're tapping into spirit to change those things. There's a difference there, just so people know.
Mm-hmm.
And um and when we get into talking about working with spirit, um JLN, I will get to your question here in just a second. I'm sorry I haven't got to that, but when we're talking about spirit and working with spirit, and you've mentioned guides, and there's different guides. You have your spirit guides, you have animal
Mm-hmm.
guides, and you
Mm-hmm.
have ancestors. Do you want to go in and discuss those and kind of break down the differences in between those things, and understanding the differences and working with them? Because working with ancestral spirits, working with animal spirits, and working with spirit guides, because sometimes they are not the same thing.
No,
um
they're not. Yeah, I only know two names of my spirit guides, and that was through the pendulum, Myrna and Campana. So, not sure, don't think they're relatives, not sure what they are. I don't really, to me, it's not as important to know if they're ETs or angels or crossover loved one or this. To me, I know it's loving and I know it's there. That's me. I haven't spent a whole lot of time in discerning or questioning that. I just know it's there to support me, and I want to receive that. Um, I do believe they come in all forms. I had an episode several years ago on the deck that I cannot explain to you what happened. Scientifically, it made no sense that I wasn't harmed in any way, and I was out for about 15 minutes, and something picked me up and laid me down on the deck. That's all I can tell you, and not going to go into too much detail on that. But don't know what it was. I just know that when I woke up from whatever happened to me, it was just a loving sensation I've never felt in this world before. And I know I was supported and loved. I had someone who was a shaman tell me it was an owl, and I do get up early to listen to the owls. Could be an animal, could be an owl. I heard somebody else tell me it was an angelic spirit. Who knows? At the point of the day, they protected me and they gave me love, and that's enough for me. So I'm all about the feeling. If it feels loving, I'm all with it. If I'm
okay.
around someone that doesn't feel, they could throw me out of balance if they mean harm in any way, even if they're just having a bad day. I want to try and say something loving to them and not take it personally. You just gotta release that energy immediately and not retain it and think about it anymore and chew on it, because it can lower your vibration and kind of block you from other help. I don't really. personally can discern if it's angelic or if it's this. I just think it's a little bit of everything, a soup, if you will. I
Okay.
just know it's there to support me.
Okay. So you're going more on the feelings of things and
Hmm.
stuff, and I myself and some of the others, and I'm not trying to come at you or anything
No, it's fine.
in this. It is there's more of a shamanic approach with working with different spirit guides from different levels, and that's where some of the questions and stuff got into, as far as the ancestral guides, the spirit guides, the animal guides, because they all have different things that they are coming to you with. They bring you different lessons, they bring you different teachings, they bring
Hmm.
you different messages, and in working with those and connecting with those spirits and bringing messages from those spirits, your ancestral line is going to really tap you back into your past, your history, your bloodline, where things come from. It, like you said, it
Hmm.
says it is your ancestors.
Hmm.
You're going to tie into ancestral curses that you may need to step in and break. You can
Hmm.
tie into ancestral blessings that you may not even realize that you have had when you're working with them. Spirit guides are going to come in and teach you, um, bring you messages and teach you things to understand being, um, a spirit being in this physical realm,
Hmm.
and they kind of help bridge that gap. And animal guides, honestly, I'm gonna say animal guides is something that I'm really working with myself, because someone just asked, can I touch on animal guides? I really need to go deeper into animal guides myself. I
Hmm.
have done some work with animal guides, but not nearly as deep as I should. um, a gentleman that is in the chat, Darren McGavin, who is a shamanic practitioner, that is the man you need to speak to about animal guides. Yes, and he says animal guides can morph, which is very true.
True.
They can appear in many different forms, and yes,
Let me just put it out there. I am not a shaman.
right,
So
right.
you are correct, because I was telling you earlier about my friend who passed in February. She was a shaman. She actually worked with animal teeth. She had all the other things that she did. So, and with a shaman, they have to go to the underworld as well as the upper world. So they're having to go to both realms and understand that and be able to have a foot in each land, if you will.
I
So
actually
that's what it's
I kind of said that in the chat, and I didn't even mention it with you, but yeah, in shamanism, the way I describe being a shaman to people is you stand with a foot in both realms and you work
been.
as a bridge. You
You do.
cannot take your foot out of either at any time. You're a conduit in between, and it's
You are.
honestly, at times it's really hard to describe shamanism to certain people when you are in those positions and you stand in each realm, and even in working with animal spirits. I know a lot of shamans who work with animal spirits, and they don't necessarily work with, like you said, the animal teeth like your shaman friend
Mhm.
did. Some do, some don't.
Mhm.
Some just, it's just an innate ability within the shaman. I have worked with different. Um, I have worked with different animal guides and stuff in my own personal work that hasn't went into. It hasn't went into me, working with like the teeth or the bones or different things of
Mhm.
that, but they've been there to teach messages. But I will say that is one area that I need to get deeper
Mhm.
into,
Mhm.
in my studies, in my training, and it's an area, and I will tell people I am no way near where I need to be. I'm very, very early in a lot of my trainings. So
Mm,
there's some of the things that I'm stronger in and some of them that I'm not.
yeah.
Um, I will get to that question in just a second. I do want to go back and touch on one that JLN asked earlier. Said, when I heard her talk about intuition, it reminded me of something that happened when I was younger about one of my mom's close friends. Okay. And then they asked if we could touch on animal guides. If you feel like sharing about that, JLN, you can. If not, perfectly fine. I understand that. Um, let's see. There's a question of, and I don't know if this will be something in your field,
My
but
wheelhouse.
yeah, but someone said, can you elaborate on chakras and the part that they play with the soul and different modalities?
Okay. I can tell you what I know about the chakras. If you're familiar with the chakras, those of you who are not, um, there's the main seven. There's actually more, but
Hmm.
most people will work and be familiar with the main seven. I call it the bikini line way down below. That's the root chakra. It is the root chakra right below your belly button would be your sacral. I'm going in order for a reason. Right at the belly button, right above the belly button is a solar plexus. Those three chakras are physical chakras and they're also male energy. Let's go back to the first chakra. The root chakra is how we support ourselves and feel supported in this physical world: food, shelter, housing, job. Um, that's where a lot of people have a lot of issue with and will have physical issues as well. They may have feet issues, leg issues, calf issues, and it's all those that area there. Um, Going up to the sacral chakra, which is orange. The root chakra is red. The sacral is orange. That would be kind of for a woman in the womb area. It is the sexual organs for men and women both. If you want to get pregnant and you're having a hard time, that's the chakra you want to work with. And the one above that is a solar plexus, right above the belly button. It's yellow is the color. If you have any low back issues or stomach issues, that's the solar plexus. And if this is the human and this is the front and this is your solar plexus, or any of them, it's going to go all the way through. So if you're having womb issues, the sacral chakra, you may have like scoliosis in that lower spine area. So wherever that line is, it goes all the way back as well. So those are your physical chakras, the male chakras. And then we're going to move up to the heart area. That color is green. It's our connection to our creator. It is the bridge between the upper and the lower. It is not feminine or masculine. It is all. And that is we would hold any heartache or betrayal in that. It might have some mid-back issues as well. Heartburn, heart attacks, those things to be aware of. Moving up to the throat area, that is different philosophies. It's a lighter blue. Well, it's a blue, indigo blue. I go purple here, where some people don't. In the blue area, throat is where we hold shame. Um, if you're a writer and you've got writer's block, you probably got a blocked throat chakra. Singer, how you communicate with others. If you are in a marriage or in a relationship that is unbalanced and you don't feel like you have a voice. Years ago, when I was going, not quite through the divorce yet, but needed to, but when the marriage was really tough, I had a sore throat forever, and there was nothing wrong with my throat. And it was because I didn't feel brave enough to voice and defend myself. Moving on up to the third eye, that's what I call purple. A lot of people call it an indigo. Either one is correct. That's your connection to intuition. So you could also do a third eye awakening, but I would also recommend starting at the bottom with the root chakra, working your way up to help strengthen this even better, because your foundation is really where you need to start, and that's the root. But this is where we get intuition and visions. Um, Moving on up to the crown chakra. I use clear, some will use purple. Again, both are correct. It's our connection to our creator, to source, and also a connection to intuition as well. And it's interesting to me, this is the crown chakra, and last year we dealt with coronavirus. Corona is the word for crown, coronation of the king. And I believe last year was also to help us reconnect with our creator. I feel like we were always put in an adult timeout. So these three chakras here, the throat, third eye, and crown, those are your spiritual chakras and also feminine energy. And again, that bridge is the heart, and it's neutral.
Okay, so as far as in your work that you do with intuition and everything, do the chakras play a part into those?
I test a client's chakras before I do an energy healing session, and then after I retest, and it's always a huge difference. And that's to show them physically what just happened. Even though they can feel it, I want them to have some kind of physical evidence to it, and I do it with the chakra. I also have an aura camera. So depending on the client, I may let them have a snapshot of the aura before we do the healing session, and then again afterwards, and that will change. When I'm doing a healing session, because I'm lined up too, I will get intuitive messages, things that they are telling me or visions they're showing me that happened to the client on my table years ago, and I will bring it up. And it's accurate, and it's to help them to trigger that, to release it and let go of it.
Okay.
So it all plays. To me, it all helps to enhance the other. It's another set of tools in my toolbox, as I say. So don't think you can ever have enough tools.
So as far as the lower three, when you was talking about the chakras, the lower three are physical chakras. You mentioned the heart is a bridge, and then the upper three are spirit. Can you elaborate in on those upper three as far as their connections and work with spirit and their connections and work with what you do in working with people?
The throat chakra, let's start there. It's your expression. Again, we communicate with this. We also eat with this. We swallow. So it can actually, if it's in balance, it can actually, you could have people with throat cancer. As I cough, isn't that interesting? Ear, nose, and throat, all kind of connected together, okay? So all of this can be affected in some way. A lot of people, and also the back of the neck, opposite of that throat chakra, that's where we feel threat and we need to feel support. So all of this is really important. Again, from the front to the back, it always goes through. So in working with a client, this is actually where I start. I start at the head and work the way down to the root. But this area here, a lot of clients, and again, we're right here at the shoulders as well.
Can I stop and ask a question there?
Sure.
I'm curious as to why you start at the head and work to the root instead of the root to the head. Because the way the energies flow, they flow from the base up. So why are you starting at the top, working down?
It's how I was trained. One, it's how I was trained. It's the modality I was trained on. And I believe working here, releasing things, it's moving the energy. Again, the energy comes in on the left, releases on the right. I am working here, so I will also go to the left and release on this side, and then I have to come around and release on this side before I move down any further. So it's a source, but we end it at the root, and then I'm actually going to ground them after the session as well. So it's kind of help to support them from the top down. I know we're building from the bottom up, but we're releasing from the top down.
Okay, yeah, because I mean, it just honestly, and not to I'm not trying to come at you or anything. I don't want to seem off in this, but even in the Hindu traditions where you know a lot of the chakras come from, the yogis there always work from the root up, because you have to ground with that base before you can do anything else. And the way the energies flow is they flow up the spine from the root and out through the crown from the understanding of how they work. So
energy comes in on the left foot, goes through the left side, through the left hand, the shoulders over the head, to the right shoulder, through that hand, down the hip and releases on the right side. That's, I believe, is why it was created, to end it at the root chakra. And then again, I'm grounding by doing something with their feet to release everything out.
Okay, I was just going under the
Hmm.
all the trainings and stuff that I've got and everything I've read is as far as when you're talking about the seven chakras that align
Hmm.
the spine,
Hmm.
or the Jed. I know I'm saying that wrong. DJED. Um, and the alignment that those go up the spine.
Hmm.
You're talking about coming from the top down, but that energy flows from the root up. And so if there's a blockage from one of the lower chakras that's causing the problem, it's not flowing properly all the way up.
All
It,
I know is when I start at the crown and we're working our way in, by the time I get into the adrenal area, um, the liver, the gallbladder, there's some rumbling. It's a very distinct sound in the body. It's energy moving. All my clients have experienced it, and it's a way for us to start here. We're kind of loosening all this up, and we're bringing it all down, and we're going to release it out the feet. That is how I was trained. I
okay.
did not create it. I just use it. So for me, it made sense because I know energy comes on the left and it also exits on the right foot.
Right.
So that being said, that's why now, if you're doing a Kundalini awakening, you definitely want to start with that root chakra. Go to the sacral. You want to climb the ladder if you're awakening, because that root chakra again is that foundation.
Right.
So that you do want to go from the bottom up.
Okay, because
Then I
I'm just trying to understand where you was coming from, because I mean, just from all all of my teachings and everything I have seen, there's a very specific flow pattern, and it's talked about the way it flows, but but when but that's only looking at those seven core chakras. There's hundreds of chakras through the body, and it's to me it's those seven chakras are what are talked about, and the only way I can think to put it would be mainstream spirituality.
mm-hmm,
They don't discuss the other chakras. They don't understand how those play a role in everything we do, and the way the energy flows through our body, the way it flows
mm-hmm.
from everything, and I really think that it's important that we don't get so locked into just the seven core. Um,
Agreed. You actually have several below your feet. You have several above your head. There's some that go out here. There are several chakras. If I can just teach somebody the basic seven, it's a good foundation for a beginner. And I think that's why most focus on these seven. It's an easy thing to remember, I guess. But yeah, I have Cindy Dell is one of my favorites to watch, and so is Donna Eden as energy healers. And yeah, there are chakras even below the earth, below your feet, above your head. And if you're really interested in that, I mean, all the chakras, it's a very in-depth study. It's a very interesting study, I
yeah,
believe. And
I can't remember exactly how many there are, but I want to say there's something like 800 and some, if I'm not mistaken, and they're all throughout the body and everything. There's some teachings. Okay, I'm being told in chat there's more than that. But there's some, I've seen some where they'll expand on the 7 to 12.
mhm,
But it's one of those things that to truly get into it, and
mhm,
at least to me, because with chakras you're talking about the energetic body. Chakras are
mhm,
the way energy flows through the body, and if you only and I'm diving deeper and deeper into this
mhm.
knowledge constantly myself. These are things I've been studying deeper into, on a regular basis. But just saying, okay, these seven or these 12, or
Mhm,
if you want to pick out more or less than that, eh,
mhm,
to be doing energetic work, I think it really needs to get into an understanding of all of them.
I will tell you this, when I have a new healing client, the angels could remove everything wrong with them in an instant, and I know that. It is important for the client, though, if anybody's ever, okay, what happened to me on the deck, when I have something of higher vibration, angelic, crossover, loved one, whatever it be, I will get a little sick to my stomach and a little lightheaded like I'm going to pass out. And I know there's something of higher vibration near me. That throws my body off physically. I know that because I've experienced it multiple times. In a healing session, if we change their energy too fast, it could actually be harmful to the human body. So the fact that we're going from 3D into 5D now, as of December 21 last year, it's a slow transition to bring more light into the body and to help us to transition into the 5D. It is not an overnight process. It would literally just throw the human body completely off. It is a slow, subtle process for these changes for us to acclimate and accommodate for a different energy upgrade. And that's a slow process. So the energy healing, there are several layers to it that I can do, but I don't do the big one until I know somebody's spiritually able to hold that energy. So there are layers to different types of energy healings. But the basic one that I do on most of my clients is to help them to release old programs and physical ailments, and for them to kind of remember who they came in this world to be, and just to feel better about themselves. And most of my clients are women, and to embrace their inner goddess and stop the negative self-talk in the head as well.
Oh, hold on a second.
Sure.
Someone's asking something, and I just want to make sure I ask the right question that they're wanting. So, so when you're working with someone, at the top of the hour, you mentioned the healing angels that came in. Can you elaborate a little bit on them, just so that people that are hold on, I just had a bunch of people come into the channel. So that people who are trying to understand what you're talking about, when you mentioned, we was talking there about the chakras, and then you started mentioning about the angels, so that people there can understand what you're talking about when you're talking about those healing angels that you was discussing.
There are several archangels. I work with the 9 healing angels: Ariel, Raphael, Gabriel. I'll make sure I get them in order. Cassiel, Celestina, Faith, Sarah, Daniel, Michael. If they're interested, if they're really wanting to research what I do, it's called integrated energy therapy. They could get some information about what type of healing that is. It's a very unique type of healing. We basically say it's the issues out of the tissues. I don't have to be concerned about an energy healing session and me taking anything on. When I'm giving a healing client a healing, I'm also it's filtering through me, and I'm also getting a healing session. So never have to be concerned about taking anything on from the client at all.
So when you're doing the healing session, it's, just so we clarify this, it's not you working with these energies, it's spirit working through you.
Yes.
Okay.
It's the angels. I'm just a conduit. The angels are doing the work. I'm holding the positions that I was trained, the hand positions that I was trained, and going through what I am supposed to be doing as an energy healer, but they are actually the ones going in and doing the work.
Okay. I got another person that just asked a question. It says, how do guardian angels differ from archangels?
archangels, and I'm learning about archangels myself because there's far more than what I thought there was. So that's a kind of a new thing for me. The guardian angel, as you and I were talking about earlier, you were born with one guardian angel that will be here to guard you in your physical world all your life. That's your guardian angel. The archangels, or my understanding, and I could be wrong, please step in, because again, I'm learning this. I just found out recently that Archangel Metatron was actually Enoch.
Okay.
Didn't know that. So it's kind of, so I'm learning more. I know Michael was the warrior, Gabriel's the messenger. So I don't know a whole lot of detail about the archangels as I would like to know. I am studying that more. But your guardian angel is, there's one per human, and they're with you throughout your human life. And the archangels, they are there to support us. You just need to talk to them and ask them, let them know that it's okay to help you. You've got to give them permission. They can't intervene without your permission.
Yeah, and that's you did a huge thing there that I'm really glad to see. You said, I'm still learning. I don't know. Because
I
even
clearly don't have all the answers.
right, and that's one thing I do want to let some of the viewers know. Even when we are here on the show and we're having a discussion and we're having a chat, and we may have a topic up that the guest is more specialized in. Just know, none of us have all the answers,
Never will.
and honestly, we're going to always be looking and seeking to go further, to go deeper. I can even admit that in my own personal training, there's a lot of things that I still need to really dive deep into. And part of it is because I've spent a lot of time focusing in on specific areas where I've kind of ignored doing some of the deeper training in other areas that I needed to do. So, yeah.
Life is a journey, and to me, it's a class, and
Yeah.
I'm here to study, and I'll not stop learning until I take my last breath.
Absolutely.
And I'll never know it all. So I'm the first one to admit, not my area of expertise. I don't know the information to give you a solid answer.
But yeah, so man, before we got bombarded with all these questions, where was we?
I don't know.
Or does anybody have any questions you would like to ask? Because we just had
Simple questions for me, please.
I was gonna say we had a bunch of viewers come in. Let's
Some
see.
really good questions though this evening.
One of the folks just said, I remember her saying something with deities. Does she work with them, or what does she know about them?
I do not work with deities. I do work with the angels. I do not work with the deities.
And explain the difference between angels and deities at that point in time, since you're clarifying that you don't work with deities, that you work with angels. That way people understand the difference, and because to some people angels can be deities.
True. When I hear the word deity, I'm thinking Zeus and goddesses and people that were here in physical form. Some were, they're constellations now. So I don't know a whole lot about deities because I do not work with them. And the reason I work with angels is because, one, I saw one with my own eyes when I was 19 years old, and that just kind of sticks with you. And this form of healing that I chose to be a master in is about being attuned with a non-healing angel. So I know more about those angels than I do about deities. So nothing wrong with deities. I just, haven't had the pleasure to meet them yet.
Let's see. Question. Someone asked, who was the angel that you saw? Do you know?
I do not know. Very androgynous. I was dating a guy in my younger days, and I had to work a double shift. So I went home to take a quick nap, and I felt hands on my shoulders pushing me, telling me to wake up. This guy's name was Kenny, and they told me Kenny was in trouble and told me the location of where he was. And I opened my eyes, and there was an angel floating above my bed. Again, I'm 19, 20 years old, and I'm rubbing the eyes, looking again, and it's gone. I'm not gonna lie to you, it scared the bejeebers out of me. So I got up, grabbed my keys, went to the location they told me to, and he was in trouble. So never saw it again. I didn't speak of that probably for 30 years. So again, fear of what other humans might think of me. But once you see something like that, you don't forget it. Light brown hair, long brown hair. I mean, I think and I also think that whatever we're comfortable, Abraham Hicks talks about this too, and I love Abraham Hicks, Miss Esther Hicks, but she'll talk about when you see something that's there to support you, it's going to come into the form that you are most comfortable in witnessing. Just because it looked like an angel to me doesn't mean it was.
Okay.
But I'm the firm believer of, if it's there to help me, I'm not asking any questions. I'm okay with it.
Because one that actually like kind of follows into one of the next questions was, how did you know the angels were calling you versus other areas of spiritual guidance?
Don't. That's the vision they showed me. I was comfortable in seeing it at 19, 20 years old, and I got up and did what they told me to do. I'm glad I did.
Okay. All right. That answers that question. and that's one of the things. Is you know, and I guess part of it is because you've talked a lot about angels through the show, and then so is it when you're talking about angels that you're working with, is that just your perception of the guides that you work with are angels, or because you said you don't know for sure?
I don't know. I honestly believe, I feel, I'm going to go back to that word again, I feel a couple are angels. I think one in particular is a crossover loved one. And I think the other 2 or 3, depends on who steps in, are probably not of this world. I think they're ET.
Okay, so the crossover loved one, and from a shamanic standpoint, that would be what we refer to as an ancestral guide.
Mm-hmm. I believe it's my Aunt Sam. She passed when I was 12 years of age. And I feel her energy a lot around me sometimes, especially when I'm sad. It's when I really kind of feel that it's almost a maternal, loving energy, and I feel like it's Aunt Nell.
Okay, so. And ancestral guides are very important in our spiritual path and our spiritual work, and they do bring a lot of things to the table for us, and very specifically from that ancestral line. And like I said earlier, you know, they talk about things along the lines of, they'll bring us messages along the lines of generational curses that we need to look at, that we need to break, things that we need to bring an end to. They will also bring us information about generational ancestral healing and ancestral blessings. Someone asked the question of, how did she pass?
My Aunt Nell, ovarian cancer.
Okay. Okay. That was just the question that they had. So, but the work with ancestral guides, at least in my view, in my work, tend to be ancestral, or is very much to me. Someone's asking, can you elaborate on what specifically? If you could type out so I can make sure to ask the questions correctly. Yeah, and ancestral guides are very unique to each individual. My ancestral guides, at least from my work, don't bring me anything for other people. They bring it for me.
Right.
Because it's work.
Very personal.
Right. Very, very specific to the individual they're working with, because my ancestors are not necessarily going to have information to bring to work specifically with you.
That makes sense.
As someone asked, can you elaborate on the angels that she works with and with her clients?
In what way to elaborate? I mean, I've named them. What more do we?
I'm not exactly sure what they're wanting you to elaborate on. If they want to ask, I'll definitely relay that over. Because once again, I want to make sure I'm asking. I'm getting the
Hmm.
information. They said specific angels.
Or they wanted me to name them again?
I was gonna say she went through and named them. Right. No. They said not the.
Okay.
So I'm just trying to figure out exactly what they're wanting me to ask because I'll make sure to ask the questions. I have no problems with that. Uh, and let me scroll up. They're asking, do you have a very specific angel that you work with? Like, is there one in particular? I guess is the question.
In a healing session, it's all 9. Ariel is kind of the head one. So Angel Ariel is the one that's pretty much in charge of the other 8 healing angels. So she would be the main one. He. Ariel to me makes me think of Little Mermaid, so I say she.
Okay. All right. I think that answered their question. Um, and just um, totally lost my train of thought right there. First off, if anyone else has any more questions, please keep them coming in. We'll continue to ask the questions and field them throughout the show. Um, as far as your healing sessions, uh, Darren says he wants to say thank you from him for
Oh, thank you.
clarifying and answering the questions and stuff that you've been asking. He's had a lot of questions throughout the evening, and so he wants to say thank you. So
Welcome, Darren.
that's specifically from him. He said thank you for
Even the questions I could not answer.
all
You're
the
welcome.
all the way from Dublin, Ireland.
What
And
time is it there?
it's late, but Darren's always
It
up.
has to be.
He's up late, and Darren's really curious just about the feeling. Oh, he says it's not late. It's 1:33 a.m. That's right. Darren's up till 3 a.m. every night.
Oh, he wakes up at 3. I wake up at 3. He goes to bed at 3. So
Right. Um, and I do want to just take this real quick moment because a couple people have asked if you want to get in contact with Darren. He is on Discord. You can go to
okay,
the my Discord server. Darren
okay,
is part of that server. He's in there. I do have a section set up in there where you can ask Darren questions, or you can contact him on Facebook. Darren, would you mind if I post your link into the chat for your Facebook? Because there's been people in the chat asking Darren questions specifically too. And so I want to make sure that they get in contact with him as well. And if you want to get in contact with Nellie, I know I don't. Do you have a personal, or I know your personal page? I've got you on that, but your
um,
business page
sure.
on Facebook and stuff. If you send me
It
that
is.
information,
I can send that information to you. Sure.
I will put that in the descriptions and stuff and put that out there where people can contact you if they want to communicate with you.
Okay, no questions about deities or spirit animals. Okay, clearly surmised. I know nothing about that.
Spirit animals refer to Darren.
Yeah, yes, please.
But just give me a second and I'll pull up his information. All right. Darren once again said, "Thank you so much. That you've been really helpful."
He's most welcome.
But does anybody else have any questions? I know there are several people that came in with Talia when you guys came in just a little bit ago. Feel free to ask questions. That is a big part of the show. And if you have anything that you would like to ask Nellie about the work that she does, we will definitely get into that discussion and follow that line of questions. Darren's asking, can you elaborate on the angel Ariel? He's curious more about the angel Ariel.
Not other than Stephen Thayer is the one. This information, this healing, was given to him decades ago through channeling, and this is where this modality of healing came from. And given to the fact, Darren, that I have a 9 to 5 and I'm growing this business on the side, unfortunately, my reading time is minimal. So I have a book on each one. To be honest, I'm going to be blunt with you. I haven't read up on all of it. So I know she is the main one, but I couldn't give you any explicit information about her. And I
Well,
wish I could. Apologize.
besides just the readings, what about your personal spiritual connection with them in work? Do you get a personal spiritual connection with them in your work? As
When I'm doing a healing session, it's almost as if I am channeling when I'm doing a reading because it's an
Okay,
intuitive reading. And that's how I explain to my clients. It's almost a form of channeling. So I will not remember really what I said to somebody in a healing session or in a reading session. So I encourage them to record the readings because I won't recall it. So again, I'm a conduit more than anything else. I'm very sensitive to energies, energy of furniture, energy of land, energy of trees, energy of animals. I'm very, very sensitive to energy in general, and
okay.
I have to also be very protective of my energy because of that.
And
So,
and the reason I ask is because
mhm,
in the work that I do and Darren does as well, and I can speak for
mhm,
Darren a little bit. I'm going to be real loose with this because I don't want to put words into his mouth at all.
mhm,
But in the work that we do, we develop a deep personal connection with spirit. We work with spirit directly is how we describe it. And we have the spirit guides, we have the animal guides, we have the ancestral guides,
mhm,
and we get to know these guides.
mhm,
We get to know these connections, and it's something that we developed a relationship with them.
mhm.
Um, it, so with what you're doing, working with the angel Ariel, you don't necessarily have that personal connection like what we work with. Then is that what I'm getting, that it's not where you have that personal relationship with them per se.
I have that personal relationship that I recognize when I'm in a healing session because I reattune. Well, I'm always attuned. So I like to reattune anyway before I do a healing session. And when I do meditation, again, I know I have them supporting me, I have guides supporting me, and it's basically them guiding me. And really, one, to me, with even in my job, because the lines to my job have almost become blurred. So that if I feel the tug to say something to someone that's across from me, or there's an intuition they're telling me to say to somebody, months ago, there was a young girl, and I don't mind telling you, I work at a cemetery. I'm a family service counselor, and I was told to go up to this young girl, and all I said to her, I don't know her, and I said, I have been told to tell you to follow your intuition more often. And she almost teared up and looked at her mom. She goes, what did I just tell you this morning? Now, I don't know her. She thanked me for delivering the message. So for me, my focus really is on helping other people and lining up to whom I can be a light for today. And I want to make sure that I'm hearing and I'm connected to all the guides that are needed there to support me in that area. So I don't really make it about me as much as I do about others, so that I know that I'm following their counsel properly and correctly and doing what I'm supposed to do to help somebody else.
Right. And
So,
and one of the big things, and this was just mentioned as
mhm,
well, is in healing work, and I've said this on the show many of times, and you'll probably hear me say this many more times. The job of a, and I'm gonna do the little quotations mark, quote
Mm-hmm.
unquote healer,
Mm-hmm.
when we talk about being healers, and you said it, you're a conduit, is not that, you know, Nellie or Josh or Darren or anyone else that works in healing modalities.
Mm-hmm.
It's not us that's doing the work. We are
No,
conduits that work with spirit to help these people find a way to heal themselves.
correct.
And that is the important aspect of it. Is I cannot heal anyone as much as I want to
Yeah.
try. I cannot heal anyone. I can put all my effort, all my time, all my energy into it, and I will not accomplish anything.
Mm-mm.
It is the work that is in that person that they have to do is what is where the healing comes in.
Absolutely, it
It,
is.
and I say this for a reason, and I'm saying this mainly for the viewers, because I want viewers to know, if you ever approach a healer and they say,
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to heal you,
Mm-hmm.
walk away from that person, because they're not going to heal
Absolutely.
you.
Absolutely. Absolutely, it is.
If
When
they,
I'm doing a healing session with my clients, and especially new clients, I let them know they will leave, I under your air quotes, their spiritual goodie bag. So what I tell my clients is, I don't want to be your chauffeur. I want to teach you how to drive. I want to train them how to listen to their guides, how to listen to their intuition. I want to supply them and support them in their journey in life. Because if they're coming to see me once a week, twice a month, whatever it is, life is going to happen in between that time. And I don't want to bottle feed them. I need to teach them how to eat. So I don't want to be their chauffeur. I've got to give them some tools and some techniques and things to listen for and how to do this for themselves. To me, that's really what I do in my part, is to help give them some spiritual tools little by little, and helping to teach them how to surmise this and how to listen to it and how to interpret it and how to respond, and to help them how to balance their own chakras. I teach them how to do that. They need to check their chakras. They need to balance them. So, and to check in. So a little, I, I teach them the K27 tap if they're going through anxiety. That's one of the first things I teach somebody. If they feel themselves going in anxiety mode, what they can do to stop it immediately. It's important that I teach them this stuff as they're ready to listen to it and learn it. So I don't want
okay.
them to become dependent on me. I don't. I want them to be independent.
So there's a couple questions here.
Sure.
One is, are clients sent to you by angels or spirits, or synchronistically?
I don't believe in coincidences. I think everything happens for a reason. Um, I have my cards in this one place that I can get information from. I do a referral program, and sometimes people just show up in my world. And I do hand out my business cards. I jokingly say, if I'm at a checkout counter, if you get my money, you get my card. It's not meant for you, it's meant for somebody you know. And I just put it out into the world. And if that energy comes back, it's supposed to. If it doesn't, I'm okay with it. Those who come are supposed to come. Those who don't, don't.
Okay, another question is, do angels give you unique tools for unique clients for unique traumas?
The angels give me unique information for the clients at times to help pull up old memories that they have suppressed so deeply they consciously have forgot about, but it's never out of our subconscious. They will support me with the clients in that way.
Okay. Do you want to elaborate in on that?
Me?
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, I know I don't want to give an example. I keep my clients' information completely confidential. So I can't give you, if I give you a scenario of somebody's going to listen to this, I don't want to break any kind of confidence.
I
But
understand.
it could be childhood memories that come up out of nowhere. I will share this because I don't think she'll mind. I had one client who's been with me for a while, and all of a sudden I'm seeing her about 3, 4 years old with a little black dog. And I asked her if this brought up a memory, and she rattled the dog's name off and forgot about when he died when she was around 4 years of age. And she, we had some work to do because there was a lot of tissues involved. So that was something that needed to come out of her.
Okay.
So some of it doesn't make sense to me when I get the intuition, the message, but I just say it. It's not for me. And if it doesn't hit them in that moment, then it may in a day or so. It may come back to them.
Oh, hold on a second. I'm checking with chat
No,
to
you're
make
fine.
sure the question that they're wanting a question. I just want to make sure I'm getting it right before I ask. So is there, why I'm waiting for a response on this question, is there anything else that you want to cover? We've got probably about 15 minutes left in the show.
It's whatever they want to ask. I
Okay.
mean, we've talked about energy, talked a lot about energy, even though it kind of started. To me, it's all the same. Intuition, energy, chakras, they all to me are just, they kind of weave together. All of it kind of works together. So I'm kind of glad we led into the energy and the chakras.
Oh, I mean,
It's all connected.
they're important parts of the
Mhm.
spirit
Yeah.
body and the spirit aspect. The question is, can you elaborate on levels of consciousness, please? Conscious versus subconscious, and etc.
This is something I'm also just learning, and I can't elaborate too far because I'm not that knowledgeable of it. There's conscious, subconscious, my understanding is, and then superconscious. And again, I may be wrong. If others know more about this, please dive in. Again, I did homework on intuition. I didn't do homework on the conscious and subconscious. So I do know that's something that I'm studying now because I know your conscious mind. And I'll give an example of me. Something happened to me when I was 15 years old, and I have still not pulled up what that was. So that makes me curious because to me, when you have traumas, it gets stored in the subconscious, and the conscious mind can't pull it up because it could be too traumatic for us. And to me, the superconscious, as I understand it, and I definitely could be wrong, is that higher conscious. To me, I think they're the same. Then that's the knowing that we came into this body, into this world with. So as we go into further 5D energy, fifth dimension, then we will tap more into our superconscious, higher conscious. Because I do think the higher conscious of us still helps to guide us as well. We may think it's a guide or an angel or whatever is there to help us, but it actually could be your own self, higher conscious, talking to you and giving you guidance as well too. Again, learning all of these conscious layers, but that's the most recent studies that I've done on that. And again, dive in.
All right.
Aaron?
Let's see. Just digging through the questions. There's been a lot of comments coming through, so I'm trying to go through and check and make sure. Once again, a thank you coming from Darren on elaborating on things. He asked, angels guiding her, or how does she know the difference? Can you elaborate on that just a little bit? I'm asking the person asking the question, so I can make sure that way you can get the question right.
When I'm in a healing session and I'm specifically intending to work with the healing angels, I feel that support and those messages are coming from them. When I'm in meditation or in my life, I ask for whatever guides are needed to support, protect, and help me, and also to help others. So I open it up to whatever I trust source to send me. To me, for me, it's not as important for me to know exactly what the source is. I just know it's there to support me, and I'm following what I'm supposed to be doing for others and for myself. But when I'm in a healing session, I intend it to work with the 9 healing angels. So to me, the healing information I get, the messages I get in the healing session are coming from the 9 healing angels. Again, when I'm doing a reading, I open it up to whatever is there to support me. I don't question it. To me, and it may sound odd, to me, I don't need to know if it's an angelic, if it's an extraterrestrial, if it's a crossover loved one. If it's there to help me, support me, I'm okay with that. If I'm on the side of the road and I've got a flat tire and I need help, I don't care who's going to show up. I just need the help. I'm not
Okay.
going to wait for somebody that I'm looking for to show up. I'm sorry, you don't look like what I'm looking for. I'm going to wait for the next person to try to help me. I know I need the help. I'm going to take it. And I'm always appreciative for it. So I don't question it.
Okay.
That's just me.
One of the questions I had come through says, do the angels have a different energy than human energy when you feel them?
Oh, yes. It's much higher. My body, in certain parts of my body, will tingle, sometimes vibrate. It's a far more intense energy, far more intense.
Okay. Another question is, how do you know the angel is speaking consciously or unconsciously or subconsciously? Yeah, that, okay.
In that instance, the information is just downloaded.
If
It's a
when they're
knowing.
speaking to you is specifically what they're saying when they're speaking to you.
I'm hearing it in my ear, and the healing client's not hearing it. If I hear it and they don't, then that's intended for me.
Okay.
And if it involved me in my scenario, I would know that. So the storyline is not one that I'm familiar with. That might have been the question. So it usually has something to do with a healing client in front of me because my energy and focus is on them.
Okay. Can you elaborate? This is to chat. Can you elaborate on that, just so I can ask more specifically? I don't know if maybe I asked the question wrong, because I think they're looking for something different than what was mentioned, or maybe it's what I asked, to be honest. Uh,
I'm not clear on the question. I do apologize.
right. And what I'm saying is I may not have asked it in the right way
Okay.
for you to be able to.
Sorry.
Oh, there's no. Okay, if there are 3 levels of consciousness,
Mm-hmm.
is it a matter of, if there's 3 levels of consciousness, how does she know? Okay, if it's 3 levels of consciousness, how come there's only one reply? Are you talking about how, if there's 3 levels of consciousness, why it's only coming through in the subconscious? If it's only coming through as auditory, is what they're saying.
Sometimes it's auditory anymore. That's rare. What I get now is um, visual in my third eye, and then most of the time it's a knowing, and it's like the information just dropped into my mind, and I knew this information. So that's mostly what I get now. That's my way of receiving, is through third eye or downloads. When I hear it audibly, honestly, that's more instruction for me. And typically, not always, usually it's a chastisement and a teaching moment for me. It's a learning moment for me.
Okay.
But for the most part, when I'm working with clients, it's a knowing, and then it's also a third eye
Okay.
visual.
And they said thank you for that information.
Sure.
And all right. I don't know what that means. Someone just typed out
You
four
got some
different levels.
smart people watching, Josh.
Well, I tell you what, I've got the people that are here and interacting and stuff. They're great folks, and I'm glad
Doing
to
the
have
best.
them and to be part of this. And I'm just here to be. Honestly, I'm just here to be a conduit for this conversation. That's why I'm here, and that's why I'm doing this show. I mean, if we really want to get down to it, it was one of those things that this show is just here to be a conduit for this information to get shared, for people to connect, to ask these questions, and to be able to get an understanding of this. And the I won't lie, the show was guided by spirit for me to do this
Hmm.
show. And I was, when the idea for this show came to me, it was to challenge people's
Hmm.
perceptions, to get them looking at things with a different viewpoint than what so many of us get locked into.
Hmm.
Because a lot of us will put on these blinders and we'll tunnel vision, and
Hmm.
we will see nothing but, like the 9 to 5 grind that's in front of us, and
Hmm.
then going home and, taking care of a family and what needs
Hmm.
done around the house. But we forget that we are spirit beings, that we are
Yeah.
spiritual beings here on this planet in a physical human form, and we have got to open up our eyes to the things that are there in the spirit realm,
Yeah.
and the things of what it means to be a spirit being having this human experience.
And
And
this energy that's coming in, this fifth dimension energy that's coming in, it's going to happen to all of us. So I would encourage anybody to research that, because a lot of people are going to the doctor with physical symptoms and they can't find anything wrong with it. So really get to know what those symptoms look like if you're not feeling well, so that you can kind of understand what it is, because it's going to happen. So everybody just needs to be ready for it. Um, I agree with you. That's why I said I love the title of your show, Breaking Reality. I call it with my clients busting a program. So I love the title. It's a great way to do it, and got to get the word out. So I commend you for what you're doing, Josh. You're doing a great
thank
job.
you so much. Thank you so much. We had a question that says, from the perspective of someone who knows nothing, what would be the easiest way to channel energy?
Okay, this is going to sound silly. One, meditation. I'm going to make a loud sound. Everybody heads up. If you take your hands and you go, and you smack them really hard together, you will feel that tingling sensation. That's what I want you to be familiar with. So learn that, smack your hands together, you'll feel that sensation. That's energy. So work with that on items. So for some people that think they don't have abilities, and I sense that they do, I'll have them hold their hands up and have them close their eyes, and I'll take my hands closer to them, pull away, and I'll tell them, if you feel anything, let me know. So if they can feel my energy, I know they have abilities and they're open to energy. Even just doing this is a way to start with energy. See how far out you can go to start sensing it. Go through the house, hover over your pet, hover over your loved ones. I wouldn't necessarily let them know I'm doing it. Um, but start working with that and getting to know that, feeling that sensation of that energy, because that's what energy feels like. We have an energy field around us, um, depending on how healthy awakened you are, it can extend way far out. Um, some it's really close to the body. Okay, so if you're not feeling well physically, or if you're very close-minded, your aura might be closer to your body. Get to know that energy. That's the best thing I can tell you to do, and then meditate.
All right. One thing you said there, and I wanna stop and elaborate on this, and
Sure,
I'm gonna tie back to the Judeo-Christian scriptures with this.
sure.
Um, and you said if you sense that someone has the ability to work with energy, I want to stop there and say we all have the ability to work with energy, and
Hmm.
if you go back, and you look, Christ said that you will go on to do greater works than even I, which
Hmm.
was meaning that you have the ability to work with these energies that he worked with for healing, for miracles. And he
Hmm.
was telling his disciples that they will go on to do even greater works than what he did, but they
Hmm.
had to believe that
Hmm.
they could do so.
Let me rephrase it then. If I sense that someone is open to their abilities, as I said earlier, we all have psychic abilities. We all have abilities. We all have gifts. It's being able to reawaken that. And sometimes it's a matter of getting them just to kind of believe. And that's the beginning of opening up to it, is when you start believing it and embracing it. Yes, we all have abilities. We all came in with them. Agree.
Okay. I just want to ask. We've hit the 2 hour mark, so we're getting to the close of the show. So, is there any last questions before we wrap up the show for the evening? And if you guys do end up having questions after the show is over, you can feel free to hit me up on the Discord. There is a link down below for here on Twitch. There's links down below in the panels for all the social media where you can reach out to myself, and I can pass any questions you have onto the guest, or anyone that has been involved in the conversation that you would like to get involved in. Whether you want to speak with me, Darren's been really active in the chat with a lot of things. So if you want to contact with him, connect with him. If you want to connect with Nellie, Darren just said Nellie is a beautiful soul.
Oh,
Namaste. So I would have passed
namaste.
that on. And I agree. You are a very beautiful soul.
Thank you.
And the if you come up with a question after, just reach out, find a way to connect with us. We'll chat. Um, JLN, I'll be messaging you on Discord after the show to make a connection with you. Because I think you just have some questions on stuff, and I will put you in touch with some people that I think will lead you in the right way with some things. But as we're coming into the closing moments, first off, Nellie, I want to thank you so much for being here tonight.
Yes,
Thank you
David.
for
Thank you for having
for
me.
thank you for taking your time,
Mhm.
and your energy. And you could have been doing 100 other things tonight, but you chose to take this time and spend it with us. So I
I've
want
been
to say
sleeping.
I want to say thank you so much for that,
You're very
and
welcome. Thank you
and
for having
spending
me.
this
I
time
appreciate
with
it.
us.
Thank you. Thank
You are
you.
welcome, and you're welcome to come back again and get
Thank you.
involved in more discussions as well.
Sure.
And I look forward to our continuing friendship as well. I
Sure.
want to say thank you to all of the viewers who have been here, who have been active in the chat, who have been asking questions. It's great to have you guys here. I really enjoy it. Thank you, each and every one of you that has been here tonight. It's been an absolute blessing to have you as part of the show. And with that, do you have any closing words that you want to say, Nellie? Or
I think Darren summed it up. Namaste.
all right. With that, I do want to go ahead and let everyone know that on Thursday, we're going to have Liz Foy with us, and we are going to be discussing energetic boundaries and when the healing process is rushed with Liz Foy. On Tuesday, the 8th, Judy and Tim Burrows will be with us. Judy was on earlier this year discussing the importance of spiritual cleansings. We are going to be discussing Change Your Mind, Change Your Life. And then on May 10th, Mary Gooseman, who was the death doula that was on earlier this year, Mary will be back with us, and we're going to be discussing grief and how to work and heal through grief. So that's just some of the shows that we have coming up. I want to let everyone know. I want to say thank you to everyone for being here tonight. It's been a blessing. It's been a great show. Once again, Nellie, thank you for being here.
Thank you.
And thank you to all the viewers that have been here. And we will see you back Thursday evening at 7 p.m. for another show. Thank you so much, and have a good night.
Good night.